Okay, we are live. And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for the From Noise to Necessity talk that I'm doing live stream with the amazing Naeem.
Yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. I guess we're going to say good morning, but with the power of social media, we could be talking to good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. It could be
Good.
anything. But I'd like to welcome you all to today's session. And I'm going to start welcoming you by saying that if I call out the brands McDonald's, Pepsi, or Mercedes, straight away you've got a very clear identity of who they are. And I was talking to Kat about this a while ago, and she said that these brands are more than just clear. They've got something that was a magnetic brand. And I found that to be a very interesting concept. And rather than tell you what she told me that time, and rather than tell you what that meant, because obviously that's what this session is about, I asked Kat, could she put this session together? So in today's session, she's going to talk and share her insights on how she works with people to transform their brands from those annoying, noisy brands to a welcoming necessity brand in the eyes of their target audience. In this session, Kat's going to share with you 5 clear, simple steps that will turn your brand from whatever it is today into something magnetic. And what does that mean? That means you'll be able to attract customers automatically. People will be automatically drawn to your brand or your business. And that can be really, really valuable, particularly in this day and age where there's so much competition for your business that becoming a magnetic brand can be a huge powerful tool for you and give you a great competitive advantage. So she's going to share some tips. She's going to give you her secrets of how to create and cultivate loyal and raving fans. And most importantly, she's going to do it all in the next 45 to 60 minutes, which means that if you signed up for this and paid that nominal fee, you're going to get huge amounts of value for your time. And I guess for me, the last thing I'm going to say before I introduce Kat is that Kat's worked with some really big brands. And if you're listening in to the next 45 minutes, really take notes, pay attention. There'll be some really key ideas and concepts that you're going to learn. And also make sure you do the application when you finish, because just listening is one thing, but if you don't apply what you learned, then to be honest, you might as well have not written it down. So before Kat starts, I just want to tell you a little bit about Kat. I've known Kat for a number of years now, and she's won awards. Everyone's an award winner, I guess, but she's won awards for really good stuff with some big brands. I know she's worked with Barclays, HSBC, so some really, really big brands. And what that means for me is that she can bring the secrets of those big brands to real small businesses. And that's what she's doing a lot of at the moment. She's doing a lot of work with small businesses. She's passionate about what she does, which means she generally does like marketing. But what she's going to do is she helps those people, those small businesses, unleash those hidden nuggets where they're going to really turn a brand which is probably doing okay into a brand which is going to become magnetic, and customers are going to come to you rather than you're constantly chasing customers. Now, she's got a mastermind. She's got all sorts of things like the way she works. So she'll tell you about that later. But I think more importantly, what she's going to give you is real clear information and knowledge without any complicated jargon. So get tuned in, get your pen and papers ready. If you're watching it live, brilliant. If you're watching it on the replay, she's going to share her contact details at the end. I want to hand it over to you now, Kat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naeem. That was a great, a really good introduction. I'm flattered and honored, and I would like to just welcome you all and say that a big business brand, there's no difference between creating a brand for a big business than a small business. It's just the amount of effort and focus and the secrets that I'm going to share with you. So there really is nothing stopping a smaller business from having that magnetic branding, unleashing the magnetic branding potential, just the same way that bigger businesses do. So welcome.
Can I ask you a quick question, Kat? Let's be clear. What is branding? Okay, because people were going to say branding and they're going to think different things. Do you want to give us your quick explanation of what is branding?
Absolutely. That's a really, really good place to start. And funny that I have that exact slide next. So what is branding? And I think the important part of branding to remember is that branding is the process of creating a unique identity and a personality for a business or a product that differentiates that business or product from its competitors. That's really all a brand is supposed to do, the purpose of it. And it includes things like creating a logo, a tagline, key messages that represent the values and the vision and the mission of the business. And branding is really essential for establishing a business's reputation and building customer loyalty so that it can increase brand recognition, or what we call brand awareness in marketing. So just to demonstrate this, I want to just say that we're going to play a little game in a second, but branding is not only the, sorry about that.
That's okay. People already want to get information from you, Kat.
Absolutely. So we're going to play a little game in a minute, but branding is not just about the visual aspect, and that's the thing that we kind of, understand when people say branding. To start with, we think about design and colors and graphics and look and feel of a page on a website or a piece or a flyer or a brochure. That's usually the thing that comes to mind, but actually there's a conceptual and language related part of branding, and that's really the part that I specialize in, because with the combination of the two, the visual and the language, you can create a feeling. So we're gonna play the game. Okay, I'm gonna say some things, some messages, and describe some concepts, and in the comments on the Zoom, you tell me, or on wherever you're watching, if you're watching it on a replay on social, just put in the comments what you think when I say these concepts or these messages. Ready? Okay. What does this sound like? If I say, this is not just jam, this is
M&S jam.
Thank you.
That's their slogan, isn't it? It's not because, and what you just said was really interesting, it's about the connections, because that's what they connect, that it's not just food, it's M&S food, right? Okay, cool.
Exactly. So next game, what does this one sound like? If I say, let's go visit the Golden Arches.
Okay,
let's go visit the Golden Arches.
Okay, so I got a couple of ideas, but I think you're thinking food here, aren't you?
I think it's definitely going to be food related.
Okay, so for me, it's McDonald's.
Yep.
The Golden Arches. Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely. So one more. No, two more. Well, two more. This is fun, right?
Okay.
If I say 7 herbs and spices, we're getting a bit technical now. 7 herbs and spices, okay. Still on the food, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I don't know this one.
Okay, 7 herbs and spices is the secret recipe.
Someone's written KFC there. Yeah, someone's written KFC. Is that right? Right. Okay, cool.
That is. Well done. Well done, them.
Okay. Right, now everyone's writing KFC.
Brilliant. So, final one. If I read this brand vision to you, okay, can you tell me whose brand vision, what business's brand vision this is? Listen carefully. Our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy online, and endeavors to offer its customers the lowest possible prices.
Okay, so I watched this being said live, so I know who this is.
You know who this is, I'm sure. Yeah.
So people are saying Amazon. Yeah. So Jeff Bezos said this. And it
did.
was a number of years into it because he added the earth bit, didn't he? Because they were
did.
getting a little bit of, you're making loads of money and whatever. And I think he added the earth bit as well to show that they actually care about the planet as well. So yeah, Amazon is what everyone is saying, and that's what I think as well.
That's correct. 100% correct. So can you see now that demonstration just shows the importance of language, the importance of what we say just as much as what we see. What people can see about our brand is as much as what we say about our brand, right?
Yeah, and I think the other thing that you show me there and you reminded me is it's not just the colours, it's the words as well. And that's what you're trying to say, isn't it? Because the words can add another dimension to your branding.
Exactly. That's right. Okay, so
could you come back to the Amazon example then? So they added the earth thing, and it is an important part of their branding then as well. Do you think? Because obviously that helps them differentiate, does it?
I think it does. What's important about our language is words can really the words we choose can really carry a lot of information. So there's words like I'm going to go with food, vegan, right? There's a whole like what's carried in that one word, all right, is not just the fact that it's plant-based, but it's also that it's looking after the planet. It's also that you care about more than just consuming something, that you're conscious about what you consume. There's a whole host of information in that one word. Or sustainability, or even just using the word earth. It's something in a word you can really, the words you choose to include in your brand language really say a lot about your business and what your business's purpose is.
And so that could be really powerful, can it? And that that could take your branding to another level.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, then what about? Oh, sorry, go on. I was going to say, I was going to ask you a question about magnetic branding then. So do you want to share your concept about magnetic branding, which I found really, really fascinating, even though I don't want to say it's common sense, but it makes complete sense if you're a business owner.
Yes, absolutely. And I certainly will. I think magnetic branding is the thing that will make your business more sustainable. That's why I talk about it so much. It's not sustainable to keep going out and chasing customers. It's much more sustainable to build your brand and attract those customers too. But before I start talking about what the technicalities of what magnetic branding really is, I just want to say, why does branding matter so much? So let me just get my slides here. Why does branding matter so much? Why do I kind of keep banging on about why magnetic branding matters and why branding matters whatsoever? Branding matters because it can make or break a business's success. At the end of the day, a strong brand can help a company stand out in a really noisy and crowded marketplace and help to attract more customers, which, as I said before, is far more sustainable than going out and constantly having to find those customers and bring them back in. Branding can create a sense of trust and credibility with their customers, consumers, and their marketplace, which can lead to increased sales and revenues. And it does. We see that with the examples that we've mentioned, like McDonald's and Amazon. We can see that when you build a really credible brand, it does bring in revenue. So a well-established, well-thought-out, clear, concise brand can help a business expand into new markets and product lines. George Bezos did it. He started with books, and then everything, and then everything else, like everything else, right? So many things can happen when you've got a strong brand. So a strong brand, at the end of the day, is an asset, a financially viable one and lucrative one. There's a reason.
And worth a lot of money as well.
Worth a lot of, exactly. There's a reason why, just for example, a Ferrari costs more than the Jag, right? There's a really good reason for that. That Ferrari brand has been crafted carefully. And there's a reason why a pair of Gucci shoes costs more than a pair of Clarks. So strong brands, in just bottom line terms, strong brands equals more money. That's why branding matters.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's really important. I'd say the examples you've given you are really important. But can we, because obviously this is stuff people heard already. I think the real amazing stuff that the light bulb moment for me was as you talked about that magnetic brand then. So how do we turn our small businesses of various sizes into a magnetic brand?
Good question. And they are, I've distilled it down to 5 ways that we can move our brand from noisy to necessity. Okay, so we can unleash that magnetic brand power and that brand potential. But before we move on to that, I just want to tell you why you should listen to me. What is it about me? Why do I know? Why me? Why listen? Okay, so as Naeem mentioned before, I have over 20 years experience. I have won an award for a campaign that I did. I have a really unique way of looking at marketing and applying all of the sense and insights that a marketplace has to offer to my clients' brands. My mission is to support 1 million small businesses in my lifetime to thrive with a strategic and sustainable marketing plan that resonates deeply with their ideal audiences. And my vision is of a world filled with smaller businesses, independent businesses of all shapes and sizes that are also committed to contributing to the sustainability, all the sustainability pillars, including not only the planet and the people, but also the economy. And my values are integrity and kindness always, honesty and service, and stewardship and equality. So those are the reasons.
And I can validate those values as well. And all the time I've known you, integrity, kindness, yeah, all of those values is something you definitely do display.
Thank you. That's very kind. So I am about to share what exactly I want. These five magnetic branding tips are. But like I said before, it's important to just recap on this. The magnetic branding is all about attraction marketing. It's about being attractive to your ideal target audience, because people naturally gravitate towards what they like, what they trust, what they think is credible and has authority. And they also enjoy things that are tailored to them, messages that are tailored to them when they see themselves inside, when they see their own values inside your brand, when they can relate to your brand. That's what they're really attracted to. And that inspires the loyalty and the passion. And that's how we get to those loyal following of customers and those passionate brand ambassadors that will rave about you and your brand. But enough about that. Let's get onto the business of why you're here in the first place. So let's talk about these five. Secrets. So these are my 5 simple steps from moving from an annoying noise to an essential necessity, and just by unleashing your magnetic brand potential. The first thing you need to do is define clearly your brand identity. And you do that by by identifying your brand's core values, mission, and unique selling proposition, which will help you create a brand identity that resonates with your target audience, because your target audience comes from the reason why you are doing the business in the first place. And the reason why you're doing the business in the first place, your why, started before you had family to support and a mortgage and all of those things. You were always going to do the business you were going to do. You were always going to be in business when you were in your early childhood. Okay, so we want to get away from, I'm supporting my family, which is good reasons and purpose and motivation. But your why, your core reason for doing your business and actually being in business is something else. Okay, and that's what we uncover and we bring out in your brand values and your mission and your vision. The second is knowing your ideal target audience. It's important to conduct market research and understand your target audience's needs, wants, and pain points. And using this information will create messages that speak directly to your target audience. And another little tip on this is that your target audience isn't necessarily high ticket, high net worth clients. Okay, everybody's after the high net worth clients because they think they have money, but and that is true to some extent, but are they really truly your ideal target audience? Your ideal target audience are your people, your tribe, the ones that resonate with and align with your vision, your mission, and your values as a brand, and who need your uniqueness, your unique proposition, product, service, whatever it is, and you speaking to them at the right time, or they're looking. It's about timing. So there's a few key elements there. Number 3, your memorable visual identity, like developing a nice, a really attractive logo that resonates and exudes all those values, mission, and vision. The colors that represent those, and other visual elements that really convey your brand's personality. And these visual elements should all be used consistently across all of your marketing materials and channels. Consistency is something that we'll talk about in a second when I mention some do's and don'ts. So the fourth one is having a compelling brand message. And we do this by developing a tagline or a strap line and key messages that really communicate your brand's unique value proposition. And that resonates again with your ideal target audience. And we do that by digging deep into the people in the business, digging deep into the market research that the business does with their audience, either the existing clients or the wider audience, and creating a proposition that really represents what the business's unique service or product is, how it solves the ideal target audience's needs or demands or desires. And finally, be authentic. Building a magnetic brand requires transparency and authenticity. We need to be true to our brand's values, mission, and vision. Don't try to be something you're not, and don't try to kind of copy what the other competitors are doing or the other people that are doing similar things to you, because that's really diluting your message and creating that noise. The way I explain it is if we have a shop window, for example, and all of us put the same, we're florists, and all of us put the exact same bunch of flowers in the window, but we're all growing flowers in the back garden that are completely different to the flowers that are in the shop window. As soon as that customer comes in and sees what's inside, they're going to know that what's in the shop window doesn't resonate and align with what's in the shop itself. So we have to make sure that what we're saying our brand is really truly reflects the experience the customer has. And we're talking about customer experience here. So Naeem's, this is his area of expertise. It all has to make sense. It all has to be consistent. So some examples of magnetic brands are Apple. Okay, Apple, it's known for its sleek, innovative products and its minimalist design. Apple has built a magnetic brand that attracts a loyal following of customers globally. Okay, they even have some monopoly on things. You can't, the charger for an Apple product doesn't work with any other products. Okay, they've made sure that they've captured their audience completely, and they love it. Their ideal target audience, their tribe, loves that. They absolutely love it. They love that every Apple product will talk to every other Apple device, right? Another one is Nike. Just do it. The slogan. They focus on inspiring athletes, on the action, the activity of inspiring athletes. And Nike's created a brand that resonates with this target audience and inspires them to push themselves to the limit. Tesla's another. And the list goes on. Tesla is focused on sustainability and innovation, and has helped create a magnetic brand that attracts customers who are passionate about the environment and innovative cutting edge technology.
And can I just step in there for 1 sec? So, we'll come back to the Nike example, but the Apple example is really good for me because at the end of the day, I buy everything Apple, right? And I probably pay over the odds for it. But there are specific reasons, and you talked about earlier about that, the loyalty and how to create that loyal customer. I'm completely loyal to Apple, and Apple can bring out a phone every year, and I'll probably go out and buy a new phone every year because they've done the things you've told me on that screen, isn't it? They know who I am, and they've given me that compelling message that I just feel like I've got to buy Apple. Absolutely. And that's where you're going with this, aren't you?
Correct. And that's all to do with branding every step of the way. Okay. And customer experience, but
that's a separate thing. But it is about, like you say, whenever to use that image you got on the screen, whenever Apple put out a new product, they're pulling at my heartstrings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know, obviously, this isn't as simple as it sounds, but obviously, for the purpose of today, can you give us some, do's and don'ts? Things you said earlier about things we should and shouldn't do?
Absolutely. And the concepts are simple. The application is simple, but it takes some doing. Okay, so here are just a few 5 do's, 5 don'ts, just to steer you all on the right path. So the first do is be consistent. Be consistent in the way your brand looks and feels and sounds, and be consistent in the way your business operates. Okay, it's key. And also, the next thing is about focusing on your next do is focusing on your target audience. Your brand is all about them, not you, not your business. It doesn't really matter to your brand, to your business, whether aside from attracting your ideal target audience. So it's all about them. Okay, developing the messages that speak directly to your target audience and addresses their needs, their pain points, their desires, and all of their timing and all of the things that are happening in your audience's world. You want to speak to those things. The third is use storytelling. Storytelling creates an emotional connection. We've been telling stories as a species around campfires for, millennia, right? It's the way that we transfer information. Stories are powerful, and you want that connection with your audience, and you want to make your brand more relatable. And that's how we do that. So the fourth is be authentic. I mentioned this before. Be true to your brand's vision and mission and values, and don't try and be something that you're not. Don't advertise something that is not a reflection of your business's true, actual what it is, right? Existence. Now, finally, monitor your reputation. Regularly monitor your brand reputation and address the negative feedback or negative comments. I'm sure that Naeem will agree with me on this one. It's really key that, negative feedback or feedback that could be considered constructive or challenging is like gold dust to a business. It's the thing that's going to challenge your business to the next level and level up. When you deal with those kind of messages correctly, it is a level up for your business. So monitoring, ask for feedback, ask questions. It's key to making sure that your business is continually and your brand is continually evolving. Okay, which is one of the reasons why Jeff Bezos put the Earth word in, right? He was getting a lot of, around not being sustainable and all of these things, and not having thought through his sustainability. So he put Earth into his vision. This is really important, okay? So some don'ts, right? First don't is don't copy your competitors. Avoid copying your competitors' branding. Focus instead on creating a unique brand identity that separates you, that completely sets your business apart from your competitors. Be as quirky as you like. Everybody knows me for my cat puns and, my me wow. It's all part of how I'm separating my brand from other people doing what I do. Second don't be inconsistent. Okay, I've said it a few times in here. Consistency is like it's secret sauce, right? Inconsistency, the reason why is because inconsistency can really confuse customers and potential customers and your marketplace and your audience, okay? And it can weaken your brand's identity. So when we craft our branding, it needs to be super clear and then consistently delivered. Number 3 is don't ignore customer feedback. Okay, especially if it's an unwelcome comment on a social media channel or something like that. Don't simply delete and forget. Listen to your customers' feedback or your audience's feedback and use it to improve your brand messaging and your customer experience. Even the messages, even the comments that you think might be irrelevant. The reason why I'm saying that is because perception is everything in branding. And if anyone in your audience has perceived something slightly negative, it means there's something in your branding that needs aligning. Okay, if you didn't mean it that way, right? There's some word that's been understood incorrectly. So we need to revisit the linguistics and the language and the words we've chosen. Number 4, don't use outdated design elements or design elements that could be considered trendy and that could go out of date. Avoid using elements that can make your brand appear dated and out of touch. There was in 2000, I don't know how many people we have on here that were in business in 2000, but In 2000, there were a lot of new businesses that started with a millennium this in their, you know, company name, millennium and 2000 and all of these things. It's instantly dated their business, right? It's all about 2000, which is now, you know, 20 odd years ago. So as soon as you start doing things like that, it dates your business. Try and stay with classic, simple, yeah, and aligning key messages to what your true brand values are. And finally, number 5 is don't overcomplicate your messaging. Keep your messaging really simple and concise, because again, overcomplicating messages can confuse your audience and dilute your brand's identity. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to give you some examples of brands that experienced a negative outcome because of their branding. All right. So these are big brands. They can get it wrong too. Everybody's susceptible to doing some of these don'ts. All right. Pepsi in 2017 released a controversial advert featuring Kendall Jenner, who was accused of trivializing the Black Lives Matter movement and other social injustice issues. And the ad received widespread backlash and led to Pepsi pulling the ad and issuing an apology. Okay, that's Pepsi. Number 2, BP in 2010. BP experienced a massive oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and it caused extensive environmental damage. I believe it's still like not right around there. And they've had loads of negative media coverage from it. So BP's branding was heavily criticized for for its focus on environmental responsibility, which was then seen as hypocritical given the company's role in the oil spill. The other one is Juul. So Juul is a more recent one, is a popular e-cigarette brand that was criticized for its marketing tactics, which were accused of targeting young people and contributing to a rise in teenage vaping. So the brand's popularity declined after being the subject of several lawsuits and regulatory investigations, which is, you know, for a new product in a new marketplace, for a new brand, it's deadly. Volkswagen pardon?
I was going to say the first two really clearly align with your guide around don't ignore feedback, because both of the first two examples you gave could if that happens to a small business, you think, oh, it's the end of the world. But you can see both those examples where they dealt with the feedback and they've recovered, because neither BP nor Pepsi are out of business.
Correct. Absolutely. And it also highlights the fact that sometimes we have blind spots inside our business. So inside our business that, you know, a lot of people had input into creating adverts and creating messages and things for their brand. Lots of people are involved in those kinds of activities within a business, but there were blind spots still. And that's key to having somebody come in to your business who thinks this way, who can say, I wonder what if a market or an audience took offense to this. I wonder what would happen if an oil spill did happen and we've got this, you know, what measures do we have in place to make sure that's never going to happen?
Yeah, because inside your own organization, working with the same people, you can become a bit deaf to things which are actually happening outside. And, you know, what you've just given there is great examples of the customer saying, you know what, we're not happy with this, or this is something we don't agree with, or we don't attune with. And listening to that customer and reacting to that customer's feedback is really important.
Absolutely. It's crucial. Absolutely.
Yeah,
crucial.
definitely. So look, there's some great examples there. We've talked about the magnetic brand. Obviously, when we started this conversation, I talked about how you work with some big businesses and you work with small businesses. And small businesses could be those businesses who want to get to £1 million. Those are at £1 million who want to get to 5 or 10. So the word small business is such a broad term that, sometimes people think a small business is just, one man in his van or in his garage or whatever. So how can you help, or how do you work with businesses who are listening today and thinking, do you know what, we need a bit of work on this? We could do with an external perspective. We could do with someone coming in and bringing that knowledge and experience from the bigger companies to us. How is that possible for people then?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. So there's three main ways that I help serve smaller businesses, as you mentioned. Smaller businesses, there's so many different sizes. But when I say SMEs, I'm really talking about not corporate, not global conglomerates, anyone else, any other independent businesses. There are three ways that I work with smaller businesses, and that's through interim marketing consultation. And what that really means is having a marketing director, senior strategic marketing director in your business that is not from inside your business, that comes with a much wider perspective of the marketplace and also a really sound, solid understanding of marketing. It covers I cover marketplace insights, which are really crucial, especially when you're trying to address those blind spots within a business. I cover identifying, defining target audiences, ideal target audiences. I cover brand identity, ideas and inspiration, for inspiring audiences with the brand. And I do that with a really unique process. Then it also covers value propositions. And this is something that's really key. The next talk that I'm working on is actually all about value propositions. All right. And moving from pricing conversations to value conversations. I'm sure all the small businesses here can relate to this, where we get somebody on the line and we're having a great call, and then all of a sudden it's a price conversation. All that kind of sucking of teeth and like, oh, that sounds a lot of money and all of these things. That's all to do with your value proposition. I'm sure you've also had the experience, although probably slightly fewer times, where you've had the right person on the right phone call who gets the value proposition and they just buy, no questions asked, no pricing conversation. All right, that's when your value proposition is, working like a well-oiled machine. And I also cover campaigns and channels, and campaigns that cover online and offline. In fact, the campaign that I won an award for was a radio and social media campaign. And that had plans to move on to local TV. And that was something that I was also involved with putting the foundations in place for. So there's no channel that is off bounds for me. And I have no affinity or affiliation with any particular channel. Whatever's the best channel for that business is the channel that we'll recommend. The second way that I work with people is through mentoring membership. And mentoring really is step-by-step guidance. Once you have a marketing strategy, design, and action plan, it's all about how to execute that with strategic direction and performance in mind. And the way that works is through various different, one-to-one calls, group calls. I give insights and knowledge, advice. I share ideas and tools, and also provide connections to other experts that those businesses may need in order to execute their marketing strategy design. I also crucially provide accountability, so regular accountability to the business for what actions are high priority, medium priority, and low priority. And I don't stop chasing until those things happen. The third way is a new online course that I'm putting together, which I'm currently doing market research for. So if anybody's interested in participating in some market research for me, please get in touch. Basically, I'm putting together bite-sized video trainings, sort of like this, bite-sized video trainings with exercises and, and tools and suggestions for connections so that people can put their own strategic marketing design and action plan together. All right. With me kind of over, like in the background, overseeing it. And it comes with a 24/7 support and community online as well, so that you can share your creations and get some feedback on them. So those are the three main ways that I help.
Just on the first one, whilst you're saying that, I was thinking to myself, that's like, if you get someone to come in and do that, that's like 80 to 120 grand, isn't it? That's what you're paying someone to come in to do that. But with your approach, obviously, as a consultant, they don't have to pay the full whack, do they? But no. We'll come back to that. Obviously, I'm not going to pin you down on a number, but that's the advantage there, isn't it?
I happen to have a slide. Okay, so if you are looking for putting a permanent strategic marketing director in your business who's worth their salt, who's, marketplace savvy, you're looking at, if you look at the bottom there, the salary between 80 to 110,000 a year. Okay. People like me don't, and people like me are also, they're used to big money. They're used to playing in corporate. They're used to having, they're usually headhunted. So there's usually a recruitment cost. They're not usually looking and looking for moving around. They're usually headhunted. So there's 15% to 25% recruitment cost on top of that. They don't work. I don't work alone. I have a team of support. All right. And neither do they. Okay. But if you're looking to recruit them into your business, you have to offer them some support staff. So you have to offer them, someone pretty good, a kind of marketing manager, and they're on between 34 to 45,000 a year. Okay. So we're notching up the costs here. And then, of course, there's incentives and expenses and all of these other things that go with director level, candidates. All right. So you clocking up around 197 nearly £1,000 in your first year to recruit that one person, that strategic marketing director. Okay. Versus outsourcing. All right, so my flat rate retainer is 6,666 a year. Ignore the fact that it's the number of the devil. I just like repeating numbers. Flat rate retainer, 6,666 for a year. But this can be done in payment plans, so 555 monthly. Okay, and that. And the benefit of having someone, additional benefit, is that I'm still in the wider marketplace. My perspective is not just in your business. I'm never going to get sucked in to just your business. Yes, I am to a certain degree, but I've also got that wider overarching perspective, which is so crucial when you're troubleshooting, and getting context of what's going on in the wider marketplace. I hope that
last point's important, isn't it? That last point's important because what it is you take someone in, you've got someone who's got a very narrow focus. They've only ever worked in one business or a few businesses. What I'm not going to say what your team offers is obviously is a marketing function. It's the whole marketing function, isn't it? And then, for instance, you might be working with 3 clients at the same time, and there's different things you're learning on different clients. All that value gets brought in, doesn't it? if there's a change suddenly, you know, in the marketplace in terms of technology or something, you're able to bring that in straight away. It's not as if you've got a marketing person who's only working with you. You're bringing in learning from elsewhere.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
No, brilliant.
And
okay, so
yeah,
there's a couple of questions here, but are we okay for time? If we
of
ask
course,
them,
yeah, I'm all right.
Okay.
I'm all right for time. Let's go.
Cool. Right, go on, carry on. Sorry, what was you going to say? I'll cut you up.
No, I was just going to say, and not only having that outside of this, the numbers that I put on the screen are simply running costs. Those are not the costs that you would have to then spend on creating and paying for campaigns. All right. So in the first year with no campaigns, you would be spending 190, nearly £7,000 simply on staffing. Right. And for £197,000 to pay me to do the same thing, you would get all your campaigns for that, as well as me overseeing them. So this, like, it just makes sense. And an example of that was, as a consultant, when I was working on that campaign that I won an award for, that was for lasting powers of attorney, it happened to coincide with when COVID happened, the first lockdown. And I spun that campaign that I was working on that wasn't related to COVID, but I spun that around to make it work for COVID. All right. And you know, the length of time that I was working on that campaign was 4 months. So you're talking about value for money. You're talking about greater impact sooner. You're talking about a perspective, an outsider's perspective, and a real ability to look at things from a high level. So there's so many benefits to having a consultant. And I'm not just saying that for me, all marketing consultants, you know, I'm talking for consulting of all kinds. Nobody should be locked into just, you know, me. But there's so much value in having a consultant in your business. It's undefinable, priceless even.
Okay, so I want to pick up on a few of the questions that have been asked. Some are fairly standard questions, so I'm going to ask them deliberately knowing what the answer is, if that's okay. And the reason I'm asking some of these questions is just to give some clarity on what it means to work with you. So one of the questions which I feel it's a difficult one to answer, but it's a loaded question, which is, how long does it take for you to create me a marketing strategy?
Depending on the complexity of the business, it can take and also availability, it can take anywhere between 6 weeks and 16 weeks. Okay. So a full marketing strategy includes branding and brand story. It includes market insights, includes vision, values, mission, all of those things. It includes identifying and defining ideal target audiences. It includes key messages and strap lines. It includes a content strategy matrix, which is like blow your mind stuff. Okay. It also includes campaigns and the channels, the equivalent channels, a high level plan for that. It includes controls and reporting and KPIs and how to measure if those campaigns are performing with impact. It also has an action plan in it, high, medium, and low actions that need to happen in order to achieve those things, and in order to make sure that those campaigns, you know, have the desired impact. So there's quite a lot in that.
Yeah, and I guess it's also important that we said 6 to 16 weeks. It depends on the complexity of the customer, the availability of the customer, how fast they want to go. I guess it's not just a one size suits all.
Absolutely, it's how fast, you know. It relies on me having complete access to the team who has the information and them providing me with any information that I've asked for and how timely that happens. So availability, any delays, those all impact timelines. But if I get everything that I need, I'm super quick. I use AI in my process, which allows me to really streamline what I deliver to a really, quite fast pace.
Perfect. Okay. So then a related question. I don't know how to ask this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I think it's so many different options. Do you recommend spending money on traditional marketing or paid digital marketing? Now, I know this is not an easy one to answer, and I know it depends, on situations, but
Exactly.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. So let me give you an example. The best way for me to answer is with an example. Let's take a brand like Apple. All right. They've been around for a very long time. They've worked hard and have a very strong brand identity. They have crafted key messages for like decades now that they know work. Those key messages rally people like there's no tomorrow. And even if they ran an ad that wasn't paid for and they just put something out on their social or their organic channels, they would still get people consuming it because they are so compelling, the messages, right? I don't recommend a business spends money on a message that doesn't rally engagement. If you get thousands of hits and a viral spread of your posts and your videos, go for it. Put money behind that. 100% put money behind that, because that's going to work. All right. If you put posts out and then and they don't get engagement, and then you want to boost them to get engagement, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. The engagement comes from the message, not from paying to get more people's eyes on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And that comes back to the thing you're saying before about, understanding your target customer rather than trying to attract everybody. Okay, so I'm going to ask another couple of quick ones. So this one, okay, I'm going to rephrase this one, because I think this one, the person's actually asking about the marketing mix.
Yes.
Can you explain? Yeah, let's do it this way. Can you explain what components make up a marketing mix? Because the question is really about, what other things should I put into a marketing strategy? And I think you're talking about the marketing mix there.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting. So the marketing, what should go into marketing strategy, I've outlined in what you get from my marketing strategy design. I think there are key elements that are key to a marketing strategy design, like a branding strategy, a content strategy, campaign strategy, KPIs and measurements are key. The marketing mix really depends on the readiness of that brand. Okay, so if you're talking, there's marketing that is called above the line, and those are generally, TV ads, radio ads, billboards, bus, adverts, telephone box ad, all of those kind of things. Above the line. All right. And then there's below the line. Below the line are things that we call generally organic marketing, such as, posting regularly on your social channels, I would say even your website, until it gets to a certain traffic level, it's probably below the line, although it's debatable nowadays. And other things like brochures and, event conferences that you might attend, or events that you might hold, like this one, would be, below the line. So your marketing mix really needs to start in a below the line place, and an organic place, because that's where you will test to see which things work and which things don't. And when you know they work, that's when you can start putting money, the above the line stuff. Those are the things that costs money, like paid Google ads as well. Those things cost money. So you want to use the messages that you know are working in that area because you're putting money behind it, right? You're paying money for it. You don't want any doubt in your mind that you're not going to get ROI on it. All right? Because even the below the line stuff takes time, effort, and money to create and develop. But when you start to put payment behind it, like putting things on a billboard, you know, that's bigger bucks. That costs a lot more, and you're not guaranteed a return on your investment. So you need to have some kind of testing. You need to pass some kind of test and learn protocols before you decide that your brand is ready for above the line mix. So it all really depends on how ready. And I'm going to start running a marketing readiness regular, like weekly event where people can join me and just check in with me and ask me if I think their marketing is ready for a different level. So if they think that they've done some testing and they're getting good results and they want to go and do a billboard ad or a bus ad or whatever it is, or go and do Google paid ads, whatever, they can come and talk to me on the Marketing Weekly event. It's an online session and ask me all the questions. Do I think that it's ready? Are they getting the right metrics to be able to know if they're ready or not?
Yeah, that sounds quite good. Right, last question, and there's a few questions about this, so I'm going to ask it in a single question. There's a lot of questions about, you know, trying to get customers immediately, and I guess it's always going to be a desire of a business owner to say, right, if I put £1 in, can I get one customer back? I don't want you to say what would you say to those people, but let's say, for instance, you had a tight deadline, you had to turn around quickly, and you wanted to get customers in a hurry. What kind of things should people do? You know, I know my phone started ringing there. I know there's no way for there's no magic sauce for that, you know, even though lots of people claim there is. But what's the best way to get customers quickly?
So there is no crystal ball. Unfortunately, I wish I had one. But in terms of ROI, I've worked with the clients that I've worked with have seen, you know, up to 4 times their, you know, 2, 3, 4 times their return on investment from working with me. So I have that to go on because I'm really keen to show the value of working with me. But in terms of what value, you know, what's the most valuable activity or, you know, marketing activity, it really again depends on the business and the business's personality and what interests business has. And I'm really about spending time on activities that the business enjoys because they'll be more motivated to do more of it. And then you get the consistency, and then you get the motivation. And the things that stand in the way of small businesses' marketing strategies has a lot to do with mindset. Because a lot of stuff falls on to solo business, you know, entrepreneurs like myself, but also to some, you know, business owners with smaller teams. A lot of it falls down to them to make decisions on the branding and the marketing strategy and the finance and the operations and everything else that constitutes being a business owner. So it can feel very like a lot of pressure. So I try and play to the strengths of businesses, business owners, business teams and leaders, so that it feels more like fun. You know, there's other parts of your business that don't feel fun. I'm not sure about anybody else, but I don't find finance fun. I don't find the accounting fun. That's not but I can play all day in the marketing. And I want other businesses to feel the same way about their marketing. And a lot of businesses I'm finding when I speak to them don't find their marketing fun and enjoyable, and that's your business playground. That's where you should be having a laugh and enjoying yourself and being yourself. So that's how I
definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Right. I think we've talked a lot today about this. And I've certainly, even though we've had this conversation, 2-3 months ago now when we had this chat, even though we've had this conversation before, I've again picked up a couple of things today. So for me, it's been really useful. Now, can we share the links to how we can get in contact with you? Is that okay if we share that?
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll do that.
Absolutely do. So just one of the links is for a session with me, for a complimentary session. Book onto that. Come and have a chat with me. Come and pick my brain, ask me questions, or just for advice. I'm here to help, and maybe I can also explain a little bit more about how I can help, if I can help, or steer you in the direction anyway.
Cool, so that's great. So that's an easy one. And the other thing is, you were going to share one of your cheat sheets, weren't you?
I am. So all of the attendees who booked on via the Try Booking link, you guys have qualified to get my special cheat sheet. It is a checklist of the 5 steps to unleashing your magnetic brand potential, and the do's and don'ts for that, and some of the examples that I talked about, and also a little activity as well. So I have your details, and I will get in touch with you and email that over to you shortly in the next sort of day or two. So look out for that in your inbox.
Perfect. Well, listen, I've enjoyed it today, as I say. Hopefully everyone else has enjoyed it again. You've got your contact details on there, so scan that to get in contact with Kat. Have a look at her website. Look out for the cheat sheet that's going to come back in to your inbox. And if nothing else, I would book a chat with Kat just to understand a little bit more about what she said, because there's certainly a lot of value. So brilliant for me today, Kat. I've really enjoyed it. And I think thank you very much for sharing it with the audience.
And thank you, Naeem. Thank you very much for hosting. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.